So we are at the Generator, fantastic makerspace in Reno, Nevada. The project here is called the Tinkle Drum. It's a giant human hamster wheel musical instrument. So people walk inside and then the strikers on the outside hit hammers which hit keys and then it creates music. A big part of making it sustainably, I think the recycled materials is the obvious part, but it's also the footprint. In order to reduce our footprint, the idea was we would make a prototype in Amsterdam and test it out, and then rather than ship everything here, save that energy and recreate it and take the time here to build the drum from local materials. This is in a way a bit of a prototype to see how can we make this piece more environmentally friendly? How can we attend an event like Burning Man and create incredible art and measure the carbon footprint? What does it cost energy-wise?
We actually built a full-scale prototype back in Amsterdam. So one of the ways we wanted to try and reduce the environmental impact of this was to reduce the shipping and to also source materials locally. The whole piece is built mainly off recycled timber. So a lot of the actual drum is made with recycled pallet wood. We also have lighting. So the whole setup is all solar powered. These micro switches control the lighting in the whole thing. So as each note is played, a different light will go on and off. So the drum construction is, so we have thick multiplex or plywood, which makes the rings of the drum. They were all CNC'd out, and that forms the basis. On the outside, we have these series of beautiful copper piping. Each copper pipe is a different key on the glockenspiel or the hammer. So as people roll or walk in the drum, the hammers hit all the keys, and you get music.
Sustainability is a big theme in my art, and for me it's really important. And then it became, okay, people are working together to make this big drum turn. It makes music, but it's also energy, right? And then how do we use that energy? When we started thinking about Burning Man too, well, we want to light it up. How can we create alternative energy sources? That's where we came up with the solar, because obviously it's a sustainable way to light it up. The solar is integral to it as an alternative energy source, and the energy aspect of it is also really important and exciting.
Why do we need a theme? That's a great question. When Larry Harvey first suggested that we have a theme, an art theme for the event in 1995, and I laughed him out of the room. I thought it was the silliest idea I'd ever heard. But in '96, we had the Inferno theme, and it was mostly designed back then to inspire the artists and give them something to focus that year's art on. Over the years, it's evolved into being, I think, a little bit more than that. To me, a good theme operates on at least 3 levels. It's something that the artists can work with, and get inspired with. It has to be something that the participants can relate to in some way, whether it's through costuming or even just the vibe, just a state of mind. And the best themes to me also reflect what's going on in our community and in the world at that particular time. This year's theme, Waking Dreams, is inspired very much by surrealism. In a literal sense, dreaming does inform our waking world in ways that we often aren't consciously aware of, but which take root in our actions. That unlimited imagination, that unlimited potential for what can and what can be, and without any brakes on it to tell you what can't be. I think exciting as an artist or a creator of any kind.
I'm Drew Moxon. We are at Burning Man. We're out in the Black Rock Desert, and we are building a city. Right now, you're in front of a camp called Hotel California. We build sustainable infrastructure to help people understand what kind of a regenerative world we can build. So behind me here, we're building a hotel. So the whole frame is all wood, and then this whole thing will be assembled into a structure. And the way that it's held together is not with a bolt in here or anything like that. We actually use ratchet straps. They do have metal hooks, but it's just a strap of cloth, and that will attach in an X pattern, and it'll hold the whole thing together. So this node, it's built out of 6 pieces of identical plywood, and it's cut with a CNC machine. And the designer of this node, his name is Greg Fleischman. He's a burner here. He's built a lot of structures like this. He allowed us to use this design, take it, open source it, and we've modified it to work for exactly what we build. And so it has these holes here, and these holes are what the straps hook into, and those straps hold the whole thing together. And so it's a piece of technology that is possible because we learned from other people here at Burning Man. We saw them building stuff, and then we built this. And now this whole system, it's called the Duxel system. There are many other camps around Playa that are now using Duxels because we learned, we built, we shared, and now they're building, learning, and sharing. And so this technology continues to propagate across the Playa in really interesting ways, and it enables us to learn collectively faster. So we have a team of engineers, designers, product managers, people in technology and craftspeople who do electricity, who do construction, and a lot of other sort of trades. The camp evolves every single year. It's a new set of people. Some of the people are the same. So usually we have about 50 to 70% of the people are experienced, they're coming back. And then always 30 to 50% of the people are new. We build this hotel not for ourselves, but to gift out to people who come by at Burning Man. They get to see amazing sort of musical acts and performance art, stand-up comedy, yoga instructors, all this kind of stuff. They just fill the hotel that we build, and we like to think of it as a platform for artists to express themselves and grow as artists. So here at Hotel California, part of what we do is we prototype sustainable living systems. That means shelter, power, and water, food, and waste. And so here we've built a shower system. We have it powered by the sun. The solar panels are on top of the container here. We have 18 solar panels. Those feed down into a battery system that we've built ourselves. We also here have power system that has a big battery in it and a circuit board. And this is the guts of what it's like to power a 3-story hotel here in the desert. And from that, we have a bunch of ports These ports are universal, and they can power anything we want in the camp with direct current power. If we follow this cable back behind us, we'll find that there is an inside this box, power comes in, we power a pump. It's kind of like an RV or a boat, and we're taking water from the shower drain and we're pumping it out, and we'll pump it out to the gray water tank behind.
So currently we're in Black Rock City, Nevada, the home of Burning Man. This art piece is Paradisium, which is a beautiful geometric forest that has been born from the ashes of the Folly, which was the piece we did in 2019. All the outside art was all made with reclaimed wood and reused fence boards. So when they were made in the shop, each panel was done flat and then packed on a truck to bring out here. Also, out here, we built all the canopies. So then we come out here and we're basically like building a little mini house. Every year the org does a carbon footprint measurement and does like a life cycle analysis of the impacts of, having Burning Man out here. And essentially, the burning of the art pieces is less than 1% of that impact. The majority is transportation. And so you actually find that the burning of the art, I think, has a smaller footprint than people realize. So we haven't done a full carbon footprint of our project, but a lot of the stuff we've been doing this year in particular is really thinking through how to reduce our impact. So with this whole art piece, we took, it was like 6 flatbed truckloads out here, but they're all like extremely efficiently packed. Even though they look big out here, you can imagine when they're all stacked just on each piece on top of each other, it's much smaller. And so we have to put more effort into the build process on site, but it greatly reduces our impact in terms of like how many truckloads we have to send out.
I'm Bruce Cooper, is known as Badger. So RAT is Renewables for Artists team. Our goal is to assist the artist in getting off the generator and onto some sort of renewable energy, in our case, solar. We propose to do that through a few things: education and on-site support, as well as mentoring before the burn. We try and bring others up if they don't understand it, but we're looking for projects that make sense. Artists have one vision, and then reality, sometimes with electricity and solar, don't quite mix. So we have to change the thinking. And then on site, we're here to give them support and assist wherever we can, whether they need parts. If we don't have the parts, we'll resource the community and see if we can find it there before going into town. So try and keep the artist on the playa if possible. Yesterday, we were at the temple. We've been fortunate enough to be working with the temple team, right? It was a last-minute deal, and everything came together, and so we had solar to work on, and we were working on the solar panel racking system, and until it just got too hot and too miserable. And then we came back last night and worked late setting up the solar panels and getting them all mounted and ready for today's testing. We're going to test today, so.
So I've been intimately involved with Burning Man 2030 Sustainability Roadmap, and I think we have the most ambitious goals in the world. The scale of climate change and the problem of climate change is not going to be solved by simply trying to do less harm. We need a fundamentally different system because we have to undo harm that's been happening to the environment for hundreds of years, really since the Industrial Revolution. And so as you said, It's only for a week, but I think that in a sense is an advantage for us because we don't have legacy infrastructure that we have to change up. We can do Black Rock City differently every year. And so if we can figure out how to be a model city here, then people can bring that back to wherever they're coming from to advocate for different ways of doing things in their homes. And so we have committed as an organization to be regenerative so that we are a net ecological positive contribution to the world, to be carbon negative through legitimate carbon dioxide removal. And when we committed to those goals in 2019, I think it's incredibly ambitious, but it's also almost as much as we need to be doing as a species in order for us to survive. And Burning Man is a place that's so innovative and where people are able to try anything out and see if it works or not, that I think the possibility of us having a real breakthrough here is substantial.
Burning Man is a temporary city of 80,000 people. 3 years ago, Burning Man published their 2030 sustainability roadmap that consists of 3 different parts: leave no trace, be regenerative, and be carbon negative. We already do LNT, leave no trace. It's one of the 10 principles. We just want to make sure that we're very complete in doing that we don't leave any sign whatsoever that we've been here. To be regenerative is a whole new paradigm where instead of taking from nature, we actually add to nature in the process of what we're doing. So we build ecosystems, we don't destroy them. And carbon negative addresses our energy footprint. This is a city, as I said, of 80,000 people. We have calculated that our energy footprint is roughly 20 megawatts of power. We are in the process of designing a variety of technologies that will decarbonize the event and allow us to be carbon negative. Right now we're carbon positive. I think we calculated the amount of carbon emissions that we emit in 2019. I think it was roughly 53,000 metric tons. There's a lot of work to do, but we're very excited about all the opportunities we have.
Well, one of the things Burning Man has been working on in the sustainability is not just smoke in the air and carbon and stuff, but it's about producing less trash. Every firework that you shoot off here can be very complicated and hard to shoot off because they make a lot of mess. If you imagine one of these boxes here and it's got a shell that goes up in the air and explodes in the air, it's going to make pieces of trash in the air that go flying everywhere. So this year I thought I would try to use fireworks that are self-consuming. So these fireworks here in these tubes have these lids on them with this piece of tape that will hinge and open, and that tape hopefully won't go flying. All the fireworks that are in them rise with an effect of fireworks, but they do not make an explosion in the sky, so there's no cardboard scattered in the sky. They're self-consuming. Now this is the Monday night fireworks show. It's not meant to be a huge spectacle. It's 49 seconds long in total, and it'll be at 6 positions around the city. It's just meant to welcome everybody. So these will produce, I'm thinking about 80% less trash. And even in these cakes, instead of ones that go up and explode, these are gonna make a big whistling sound, but no explosion at the top, and it'll fall down as a big piece of trash that I could find as one big piece, and I don't have to go looking for 100 tiny pieces of cardboard. So I'm hoping that this is gonna produce much less trash than we have in the past. Stand by, thank you. What we're gonna do here is the show is 49 seconds. So right now, nobody knows what we're up to. There's really not much of a perimeter to hold, except we just want to, if people try to ride their bikes too close, just give them a shine. When it's time, we'll back off about 50 to 75 feet, using the truck as one definition, and then also over here. And we're just gonna shine bikes out of the way. It'll be so quick that hopefully people won't gather before it's all done and we're out of here. But you just want to generally keep people out of the perimeter from riding right up there. Sound good? Any questions about what we're doing?
Good.
Perfect. Use your water and put out that cake and meet back at Brain Freeze.
In Burning Man, I mean, to me, creativity is one of the most dramatic hallmarks of this gathering and this event. While our department manages the art here on the open playa, I think art is integral to the whole experience for everyone, whether it's in your camp, whether it's the way you dress, you know, the way you design a structure that you're going to live in while you're here. Creative expression is just paramount to the whole experience. I think the theme is really apt this year, that concept of waking dreams, that I think we're all kind of collectively waking up from this really highly unusual experience we've all gone through the last couple of years. And it feels great to just be around all these people that we love, to be in this environment that, you know, this amazing natural environment, and with all these fantastic projects. It's very heartwarming and heart-opening to get to experience this. Artists are welcome to create either based on the theme, something inspired by the theme, or to just go in their own direction. So I would say we usually see less than half of the projects relate to the theme, but you know, sometimes it's funny, artists have an idea in mind maybe for a couple years and they're ready to do it, and then the theme comes out and then they try to find a way to sort of reverse engineer how their project might fit into that theme, and you know, that's really not necessary. The people that bring art to Burning Man are some of the most creative people on this planet. The theme is also its own way to kind of have a little bit of structure around which to work. So in the off-season that we've had at the Burning Man project, we've had the opportunity to really dive into the importance of environmental sustainability. Our 2030 sustainability roadmap has really pointed to that, and we've been able to focus on that more clearly in the last few years. When artists submit to bring their art to Burning Man, we ask them how their project is going to relate to the sustainability goals. And it was really interesting to see this year that almost 60% of the artists said that their project was working to advance one of those three goals. So there's a lot of interest right now in people who are bringing work to Burning Man and how they can do it in a sustainable manner.
My name is Dave Keane, and I'm the artist behind the piece behind me called Paradisium. Paradisium, which means orchard in Latin, is a forest, interpretive forest. It draws on a lot of the things we had in the last piece I did, The Folly, in 2019. But I wanted to do something a little different this time because we're not going to burn it. The story behind this is that we burnt the folly down and these trees grew up from the ashes of the folly in the desert. But I think trees, there's a lot of trees out as a theme this year. You'll notice around the playa, trees they're trending for sure. I hope so they'll have more appreciation for wood, and it's funny that we built an interpretive forest out of trees that were cut down, which is kind of weird. But I work with wood and in construction, and one of the things is there's a tremendous amount of waste in that business with wood, and that was one of the factors that led me to do the folly and also this, is to try to reuse the wood that's being thrown away otherwise. Since I work in the business, I know a lot of the lumber yards, and some of the lumber yards, when they're processing the wood, they cut the edges. There's a lot of waste that they just throw away. So there's a few lumber yards in the Bay Area that I call a guy every couple of weeks, and I go there and I fill a truckload of wood. And then we bring it to the shop and we recut it again and trim it. So there's definitely a whole process to getting the stuff we get from people and making it into a usable product. We need to change a lot of things about how we do things in the world. It's unsustainable the way we're living right now. The same thing with burning. I don't think burning is a good idea anymore for these big pieces. It doesn't seem right. I mean, I know that we're at Burning Man and all, but the image of burning a forest out here, I don't think it would look right. So it was easy for me to say, we're not burning it. I think I'm moving away, although it's much, much harder not to burn a piece, because we have to take the whole thing down again. But I think it's the right way to go.
I'm finding it interesting that the couple of largest projects here that are made of wood are not burning this year. That was one of the things that Paradisium, who really is a shining example of how to do it right, I think, in this realm. But I love that they're really thinking up front about how to find new homes for these trees after the event. I also think a key piece around this, we're Burning Man and projects burn here. Many folks who have never been here before think we just burn all of the art, and that's one of the things I'm always kind of like, oh, it's not quite like that. This year we're burning 15 projects total, including the man in the temple, so that's less than 4% of the art here will burn. When we look at emissions across all of Black Rock City, the art that burns is about 6% of the total contribution towards emissions. It's not a huge part, but it's very visible. And so we want to be very thoughtful around which projects are allowed to burn.
One of the things we're working on here at Burning Man is when you build a big project, there's never a thought of, am I going to take it apart? How will I take this apart at the end? The go-to thought at Burning Man is, I'm going to burn it. You don't even think outside that box if you build something that big. So I've been asking artists in the questionnaire now to say, if you're not chosen to burn at Burning Man, how would you get rid of your project otherwise? And then I could filter through and see if there's projects that are easily disassembled that we don't necessarily have to burn. I love burning, and believe me, I don't want to stop the burning at Burning Man, that'd be ridiculous, but I want to try to tamp it down to what's necessary and what's important to the ritual of the event, rather than just burning trash in the yard. So this year, the number of burns we have are about 13 plus the man in the temple, and that equals 15. This 13 number plus the man in the temple is exactly how many the fire department and the ranger can handle. If you make a very small project that doesn't require the fire department or the rangers, then I've got more room for you in the schedule, but it's still, I'm going to ask you if you really need to burn it. We still don't want to just burn trash.
It's a lot of effort to take art pieces back off playa, right? So after the event, we're going to be here for multiple days to break it all down and truck it back off playa. And so these trees are more modular. So that was also part of our plan with making it easier to take home potentially and more sustainable, is just that we can place a couple trees at different locations or in different properties versus trying to you don't have to put all of the trees in the same place. So they'll probably find some different homes.
My name is Srikanth Gurikonda. I'm the lead artist for Sirsasana. It's a tree doing a headstand. I've been coming to Burning Man since 2015. My first 2 years where I got to really experience Burning Man for myself. It became very clear by the second year that I want to contribute, and especially I want to contribute in terms of installation art. The concept is very simple. I wanted a tree that's both playful, but also a tree that's comforting and home for other living creatures. So I imagined this tree doing a headstand, which also has other creatures that call it home. I also wanted this tree to provide shelter and place to rest. I conceived this idea when I was in a forest doing a yoga session with a friend, and I felt very grounded. And I asked myself, what about being in this forest really grounded me? And the things that came to my mind are the shade of the trees that are in the forest, the sounds of the birds that brought me a certain familiarity, a certain calmness, and just like all the living creatures around me. So I wanted to bring all those elements into playa, which can be often very harsh. So I wanted to create a serene oasis for burners to stop by and indulge in the tree's offerings. The tree is mostly made out of plywood that got laminated using a CNC router and then carefully using glue with volunteers and putting it together. And then it's all held together with brackets. And then once we had the structure, we added these handmade sunshade material canopies that are in the shape of leaves. And further, when I was exploring my initial inspiration for this tree, I was looking into going back to my childhood in India and what can I bring from my childhood into this project. That's when I arrived at these veneer patterns that you can see around the tree. I could see how having limitations can spark more creativity because you have to think out of the box. But I can also see, based on the reality of the project or the time, you might have to make choices that make sense for that project. So as long as the artist has the heart to look for more sustainable, renewable sources, I bet they will, if not then, eventually find the answer.
Coming to Burning Man 10 years ago. I'm a small 2D artist that does collage and painting and mixed media on panels. So I've been working with old books that are being thrown out for about 15 years. And in my town every month there's a book sale. And those sales, after they're over, they give away books to nonprofits for free. And then finally, at the very end, anyone can take what's left. So I always took what was left over. And the piece is about a couple things. One, for me, it really is about the beauty of the materials. The beauty of the linen, the colors that were used, Nothing was standardized, everything varied. And then it was also about the way we get information now is changed so dramatically and so quickly, and these are no longer relevant. But that we are now in the cloud, the black and white ribbons of information inside are sort of indicating that the way we receive information has changed and has gone up into the sky. So it's a classic wood structure. We used mostly new wood, but we got a lot of recycled wood from construction sites as well. Then we covered every surface using wood glue. I put pages on the exterior and book covers on the interior. So at first I wanted the front to be very conservative, pages with only a few words and titles. And then slowly, as I allowed myself to add more imagery and be more colorful, it made me so happy to play with the color that I just went crazy. And then the interior, I got even more colorful and sort of psychedelic patterning with the colorful book covers. I started it very seriously and a little nervous, and I ended it just like having fun. Well, you know, the theme, to me, the overriding theme is about human ability, and that together all of us have created all this information, and everything each of us does is we're building on the backs of those that came before us. We are kind of one as a species, and we may not be here forever, but what we've contributed and added to, this piece sort of stands as an example. It doesn't cover everything, but there's many, many languages and many different approaches to science and math and physics, and I love that part of it. And when people come in, what has surprised me is that they instantly feel that power. So it's this understanding of what we're all capable of creating.
And I are over at the man-made solar station and wondering why.
You actually cut out, but I am actually headed there right now. I'll probably be there in 2 minutes.
I go by Star Child out here. My name is Matthew Deluge. I'm the solar program manager for Burning Man. And our main focus is dealing with transporting, servicing, installing, etc. Anything that is solar related that is owned by Burning Man.
We're here. This is the solar array that's powering the man base right now.
We have 8 people on the crew, and a couple of them are focused on dealing with the smaller trailer-mounted solar generators that are located all over Playa in theme camps at art pieces. And then I've got the rest of my crew that is focused mostly on building infrastructure like this. That is basically, I mean, as you can see, it's container-mounted shade structure with solar panels as the shade. And right now, this is coming out of this container here and going into the ground and going straight to the man where it's powering the legs and a lot of the build infrastructure there as well. It's actually really simple. All that's going on in here, we've got, and y'all can come right in, we've got 4 different battery packs here that combined give us about 120 kilowatt hours of capacity. We've got 3 different 12,000 watt inverters that will put out 9,000 watts each AC, and they're all paralleled together on both the batteries and the AC side up to the electrical equipment that you guys saw in the front, which looks and is exactly the same kind of equipment you would see on a home or a business. Each of these screens describes what's going on inside each individual inverter. We've got solar power coming in right here. This is to the light bulb, AC power going out to the man. and this is the power that's getting from the solar panels and charging the batteries. Like I said before, we made a really robust system here for the size of the man, and I believe that we'll probably not see that percentage go much lower than 100% this whole time that we're out here. The design was kind of intended for things like theme camps, to have a decent amount of power draw, but then this would be able to provide the same shade that they would be expecting, you know, from any other kind of shade structure that they would build there, but also eliminate a generator from being on site. So the next logical step is to try and push them towards places that need them and provide emergency power for lighting, for hospital situations, you know, emergency tents. Then we have a whole nother use that makes what we're doing here actually sustainable. Our numbers say a majority, maybe up to 80–90% of our actual fuel usage comes from transporting things out here, not from what we actually use here on Playa, right? So that's the next step, right? If we have these batteries that'll power the camps, how do we move them? How do we get them out to Playa, you know? And that's a huge one. I cannot get all of Burning Man off of fossil fuels. Burning Man infrastructure, Burning Man itself cannot succeed in that goal. We need everybody to start talking and participate. Even if you don't have any means to do it, if you haven't already done those first few things that I've talked about, figured out how much power you're using. Think about where the resources that you are using are coming from and how you can get them easier or better or from a more sustainable place, right? And of course, budget is often a constraint in those areas. We do what we can. And so if the idea is that, like, well, I don't have any resources, I don't have any means to do this, you can always just talk about it. Do you even know your power usage? What kind of fuel are you using? These are conversations we actually have all the time. And the more we keep having them and then analyzing, it'll only get us closer to our goals, really.
Hi, I'm Badger, or otherwise known as Bruce Cooper. Good to see y'all. So, a while back I got caught into the green theme camp community, the blast, and I wrote a paper, Solar Powered Art on the Playa. And in that paper I wrote was some things that kind of bothered me, that artists weren't getting the support with solar that they should have, I felt. And I took it to somebody connected to the org a bit, and I showed him the paper, and he said, you ought to start a group. And it was like, okay. So I came up with RAT, and it just kind of bloomed from there. We developed a team. We still meet every week on Wednesday. You're all invited to join us. If you're interested in RAT, you can find us on Burning Man Hive. If you haven't gotten to Burning Man Hive yet, it's a wonderful thing that you have courses, you have thoughts and dialogue going on. You can sign in with your burner profile. And so we established 3 legs of the stool, as I call it, the stool. And that is to assist artists by mentoring to go to a renewable energy, and in our case, basically solar. My ultimate vision is to be out of a job. If we can get enough people start heading in that direction, then we've done our job. I think what's happened in the recent year or two is people are hungry for solar right now. When you see solar panels, people have questions, and people who have solar power want to talk about it, right? So I think it just gets handed down over a period of time. And camps will say, hey, this is something we can do. Let's have a talk and let's see if we can do this. There is a carbon footprint involved with electricity. And you take this, we do this here for 1 week a year. This is not the world, right? So we have an influence on the sustainability project here, but we go home, and that's where we have the biggest effect, right? At home. So what you learn here, you can take back with you. Generators are going to be around for a while, but if we can start promoting this and making a difference in the world, then we're doing our job.
We published the sustainability roadmap in 2019, a month before the burn started. And people didn't even know about it when we came to the event that year. And so to see the difference from 2019 until now, where so many people know about the sustainability goals and the sustainability roadmap, I mean, that's the first problem we had to solve, was just getting that information to people and convincing them that that was a real thing we were gonna do and that it was a credible commitment on our part. And so we've been able to do that for the past few years and had calls with hundreds of people on them on Zooms and thousands of people watching and people talking about this from all over the world, so that now when we come out here, I've been amazed and delighted at how many solar arrays that I've seen out here and how much people are talking about battery technology. And so really, I think the bigger thing we have to talk about is accepting that we are going to have to do less.
It is a very measurable thing for people to come out here. You know how many coolers you brought and how much food you brought and petrol and all of that stuff. And at the end of the day, you can calculate it all. So as a part of what we do, we've measured our entire carbon footprint for the event, every camp member's roughly estimated emissions, and we've decided that we want to completely offset that. In fact, we offset more than we consume. We plant about 200-300 trees every burn, but we're wanting to apply a portfolio approach to look at how many trees we plant, how many offsets for biogas stoves or other things like that, as well as carbon dioxide removal. So we'll probably be removing about a ton of carbon actually from the atmosphere this year for the carbon dioxide removal, and in total it's about 150 to 200 tons of carbon that we emit and make up and offset.
Some years ago, maybe just before the pandemic started, we recognized that we really needed to find solutions that didn't exist for Burning Man. If you travel throughout the city, you see lots of small solar arrays, very small, but we needed something in the 20 to 30 kilowatt range. We searched the world, we couldn't find it, so we designed Dragon Wings, which is a mobile solar generator.
This is our last stop. I'd like to introduce you to Dragon Wings. This is a 25 kilowatt mobile solar generator. This is next step. This is what we're thinking about, how we're going to decarbonize the city.
And the basic idea is that we wanted to create a zero footprint, high shade, fast install, plug and play replacement for the generator. We have a 75 kilowatt hour Tesla battery inside, so we're able to deliver large amounts of power all night long. And 700 of these would power the entire city.
I think we're going to show the world the magic trick of how a city goes from a large power consumption to a totally regenerative renewable city.
Boom. Boom.
Thank you all. This is the end of the tour. Mirror change. It's happening. Go forth. Spread the word. It's happening.
The cool thing about environmental action is it's emergent. It just happens. And that's the beautiful thing about Burning Man, is it creates a platform to interact with other participants, to discuss new ideas, and then to take them back to where we live. And that's really the beauty of Burning Man. It's a catalyst for conversation. It's a catalyst for action.
With art, people come here to see the art, and they see the solar panels. They find out that solar's being used, and they might say, hey, we can use it in our camp. Maybe we should try it. The whole idea is art is powerful and it has the ability to move people. And if we can move people in a regenerative sort of fashion, that is great. And we figured, our art figured, our rat figured, this was a way to do that. And hopefully get off the generator.
This is by no means a sustainable event. I actually got turned onto this path when I witnessed a talk in San Francisco by a climate scientist who, for about 15 minutes of his talk, just ragged on Burning Man. He said, it's the least environmentally sustainable thing possible. People go out there, they waste a ton, there's a lot of emissions. How can that possibly be a good use of human resources and capital? But I walked away from that talk thinking, damn, he's right. And he's missing something. And the something that he's missing is that Burning Man in Black Rock City provides a completely blank canvas for the entire society and how we interact with each other, how we relate, how we exist in a harsh environment. And that harsh environment makes it really a profound opportunity to practice some of these techniques and then bring them home and apply them. When we can put a lot of perspective shifts in together at the same time within a group of people, a community can suddenly believe something is possible.
What I think about the sustainability efforts here at Burning Man is every little niche that we could take out of the carbon, out of the waste stream, out of any amount. And sustainability doesn't just refer to the environment, it's sustainability of our staff. When the fire department was getting burned out because I had too many burns, and the rangers were like, hey, we don't have enough staff to do all this, that wasn't sustainable either. Sustainability is not just about the environment in our circumstance, it's about the organization as well. What's sustainable for us to keep going? Well, I think is just get rid of as much unnecessary stuff as you can. We don't want to get rid of programs, people, vehicles, generators, but we want to get rid of the unnecessary bits. So cutting out those projects that don't really need to be burned, trying to go with less trash on the ground from the fireworks, not overworking the staff of the rangers and the fire department. Every little niche we could take out of this is a good thing. But I think, again, the first word in the event is burning. So there's some expectation that this is not earth-protecting event here. This is Burning Man. And I mean, we protect the earth in a lot of ways, would leave no trace, and we do the best we can. But let's be real, it's Burning Man, and we want to keep the burning in it.
I think there's something very primal and deep about fire that people experience here at Burning Man, which is the nature of ephemerality and that really strong sense of potential loss and loss of whatever it is that we created. People build beautiful art structures out here. They burn them at the end of the week. It demonstrates an ephemerality to every piece of human progress, every piece of creativity that's inspired and put into things. So I think it's a really important element, spiritually and emotionally, but it's a really hard trade-off. So I think it's going to be an ongoing question for the next few years, what Burning Man wants to decide to do here, how camps want to approach this problem, because ultimately the Burning Man culture is made up of many individuals across many different roles, and it's going to be on us to figure out what that looks like.
Well, what you see here in Black Rock City is really the sum total of the dreams of thousands and thousands of people. They imagined something they could do that they probably couldn't do anywhere else. Right? I remember when Burning Man was very young, and I had a lot of crazy friends in the Cacophony Society, and it just became kind of a standard rejoinder. It's like if I come up with some insane idea, it's like I want to build an art car that's like the size of a whale and wouldn't be legal on city streets. The immediate response I wrote is like, Burning Man, Burning Man, Burning Man, whatever that thing was, you could do it at Burning Man. So, I mean, look around you. Every one of these theme camps, every one of these art projects, every one of these mutant vehicles was somebody's dream that they made come true, for better or for worse, and brought it out here to make it real in the world.
What we're doing out here always feels like a waking dream to me anyways. Burning Man, as you experience it, described as you already know it, which is this weird otherworldly experience that always makes me wonder, like, is this a total fabrication that's a made-up thing that we do, or is this what my life could be like all the time?
I think this whole place is a waking dream. I think getting to create amazing, amazing art pieces like this is a waking dream. The first time we're actually getting to see it all installed and together is on site out here. All of us have this feeling of like, who built this? Like, who put this magical piece together? I think Burning Man built a theme around what's already happening out here.
My dream has come true. Well, first off, let's put it this way. I never expected to be working on the temple. I find it a great honor that they've asked RAT to help out. And I take that very seriously. But as far as my dreams, yeah, they're coming true as we watch artists successfully use solar to power their art. And what's more successful is the people that come up to us and say, hey, we're thinking about doing that too. You know, that's powerful. We're actually making an impact. And if we're making an impact, then there's a chance, you know, that we can all start switching over.
Burning Man is made up of a community of people. And that's the real strength. I mean, the people who organize it, we build a blank canvas. And then the community comes and makes the painting, makes the sculpture. And so it's really the community that makes me feel uplifted. And it's why I see hope for the future for humanity, because we have it right here.
This whole experience is very transformative in many ways, but I think when you put it through the lens of sustainability, you see people start to experiment. I would say almost half the art this year is on solar, which is phenomenal. That's very unusual. People are learning how to do it. They're curious, they want to do it. And so I think there's this sense of, like many things people learn out here that then they bring to the rest of the world afterwards. I can see someone trying solar for the first time on their project here and then thinking, why don't I do this at home? You know, why don't I do this with my neighbors? Like, what other ways can I do? You know, once you learn something here, how do you implement it in the rest of the world? Ultimately, I want Burning Man happening to be better for the planet than it not happening. And I really do think that through the art program, both in the ways that artists are expressing themselves creatively and the way that participants are interacting with this thought-provoking and interesting and beautiful and challenging work, I hope that people come away from this whole experience a little more attuned to how we can be better citizens of this planet.
This year is really hard for everyone. We're out of practice at how to socialize and how to be around people. I think we probably all need a lot of therapy to get over the trauma of the past few years and to remember what it's like to feel safe again. I still feel that. I still need time to recover because it still hasn't felt safe and society hasn't felt in a place where it feels okay to heal. And I think that we all need that. And so I think that that's what Burning Man really provides at a fundamental level, is an opportunity to heal and to come back together.
I think that the creative spirit and the unconditional love and the idea of gifting, the radical self-reliance, the sense of community, I think that that affects everyone. And I think maybe the new people come out with a lot of expectation, and maybe that doesn't serve them well when they first get here. But after a few days in the desert, that'll wear away. You go into survival mode, you start depending on the people around you, and all of a sudden that love comes in, and you walk away transformed. Now, everybody's different. Not everyone's going to walk away a changed person, but maybe one of their values got changed just a little bit, and then that becomes a seed that grows. And so their change might not come for 10 years, but it started here.
The way you get here is you work really hard all year round so you can afford to take the time off and bring a bunch of extra stuff to share and survive camping out in the middle of nowhere, right? I just want people to do more of that. I want them to look at this kind of thing and be like, all right, we're gonna have to do a little bit of extra work to make this happen this year so we can come out and do it. And hopefully that just cascades into other parts of their life as well, where they're like, well, I can do this at home too.
Yes, a lot of people bring their dreams here, but yes, a lot of dreams are born out here too. Most people, when they make their first trip to Burning Man, they don't know what to expect. And if they're smart, they don't expect too much. You really just have to come out here and let it go. I tell people all the time, it's not for everyone, right? A lot of people come once and it's like, yep, I did that. I've been to Burning Man. I'm not gonna go back. But for a certain percentage of people, for whatever reason, they get inspired by seeing what other artists and what other people have done. And they say, I want to do that too. It usually happens around the middle of event week. You start overhearing in conversations the words, well, next year, or I need to learn how to weld so I can build a blank. So, that sort of inspiration, and also the friendships that people make here and the connections that they make cannot be overstated.
And I think that, yes, virtual and hybrid events are amazing, and we saw so much creativity happen with the virtual burns and all of that stuff, but there's just no replacement for the real person-to-person connection that you get in your life in general. And I think that since Burning Man is so much about bringing down barriers and being able to communicate with people as your authentic higher self, you just can't replace that in-person gathering.
The meaning of the event, or the identity of the event, is the sum total of all of the participants' contributions. So, and that is a shifting mass of people. So as the community keeps changing and evolving, the identity of the event and the community keeps changing and evolving as well. It's not set in stone, it's moving. It's a living culture.
Yeah, there's something special about this place. You can't always describe it, you know, but there's a serendipity that happens. You'll bump into people that'll be your best friends for life that you never met before. And then you'll bump into somebody that you hadn't seen in 30 years. You know what I mean? It's really neat. And I love it when that begins to happen. And I believe that the whole world could be that way if we would let go of our greed, you know, and started loving again.